Hi, everybody. Good evening. So today we will discuss about layer 3 IPv4 address, and we will see what is IPv4 addressing, and we'll see what is subnet mask, what is the wildcard mask, and classless interdomain routing, and what is the difference between the public and the private IP address. Followed by that, we will use a subnet calculator to segregate your network, and you can do a manipulation to how exactly I can um, you know how I can make multiple networks using a subnet calculator, right? Because we do that manually. We'll see that, and what is AND operation, and what is the advantage of AND operation, and what is the purpose of AND operation in the IP. And followed by that, we will see the IP options. We'll see what is LSRR routing and SSR routing. We have a lab for it. And followed by that, we will see the ICMP. So what are the type codes and different scenarios? What are all the type codes we have in ICMP? And followed by that, I'll tell you how to build up a lab today. So far we have discussed about everything, right? So I mean, right from TCP and an abstract and high level. So now we are going deeper, and finally I will explain you how to build a lab using EVNG. So let's jump into the class now. So let me first start with a TTL lab. A TTL lab with IP options, and also how we are going to block the ICMP. We know that TTL is again, it's the TTL lab along with the ICMP. So we'll see the difference, and if I am blocking an ICMP code, what are all the error messages I get in different scenarios. So those things we will discuss now. So to do that, let me fire up my diagram. Let me go through that very quickly, and we will jump into the lab. So if you guys see this, yesterday, I mean, few people, they are a bit confused, or I wouldn't say confused. I mean, they needed a clarification on what the TTL, different TTLs, right? Because we know the standard 3 TTLs are 255, 64, and 128. Yeah, let me take my pen here. So 255, 128, and 64. This is for Linux, and this is for Windows. This is for Windows, and this is for Cisco and other appliances, right? So if you look at this, in every hop, when the packet transits every hop, the TTL is decremented by 1. The router decrements by 1. Yes, for every hop. If you look at it, starts with TTL 255, 254, 253, and 252. So 1, 2, 3, 3 hops away, right? And it reaches the host. Okay, now let's jump into the lab. Let's see if I block the ICMP, what are all the error codes I get? Because this is along with TTL, is my TTL is decrementing now, and along with that, what kind of error code I see when I block a specific ICMP messages, right? Let me log in my EVNG. Let me just check my basic connection. Show IP, and from this guy, if I go and check my router over here, it's R1. The gateway is configured here. Give show IP interface brief, and I see this is 90.0.0.1. Okay, I can ping 90.0.0.1, and let me fire up the Wireshark. I see packets. So let me try to ping. Let me first, I have to go and check my ARP. Show IP ARP. And in the 90 network, I see .3, .21. If I ping 90.0.0.3, I can ping. If I see 90.0.0.21, I can ping. So here I'm going to try with 22 here. So here in the log, I see not reachable. So if I open this packet, let me stop the capture. So I have to check only 90.0.0.3. So let me open this. If you right click on the source address under the ICMP here, if you look at this, let me open up my pen. Let me track this. So I opened this packet. So right below the internet protocol, I have to select the source IP address, right click on it, and if you apply as a filter, the option selected, I can see the source with 90.0.0.3. So we are trying to reach 90.0.0.22. So you can apply the filter right away to that. I can change the value. So I'm trying to ping 90.0.0.2, and you can say it's either source or destination. I want to filter the IP with 90.0.0.2. So if I do a ping, I don't see any traffic coming over here because that device is not reachable. If you look at this, the very first thing before routing, because ICMP works with routing, right? So whenever you're trying to ping, if it couldn't find a destination, even if you see this, I don't see a ARP response for this, right? We give ARP the same way. If you go here if you do an apply as a filter, so for this ARP request, I never, if you see for I ping thrice, right? So the sender IP address is, this is 90003, right? Show IP. So this is 90003 over here. It's coming from 90003, right? If you look at this, so my traffic is coming from 90003 and it is trying to reach 90022, right? So in the ping, I see it's not reachable, that's it. But I don't know what the problem is here. But the basic of ARP, if I want to get an ARP resolution, there should be a device that should be active and that should respond for my ARP response. So once you have a routing and if you have a reachability to that particular device, I get an ARP reply back. So here the host is not active because I see an ARP request, I didn't see an ARP reply back. So once I receive that, only then my IP communication happens, because ICMP is a bidirectional communication, right? It is bidirectional. So I send the ICMP request and I should get the ICMP response. But for this to work, the first step is my ARP should work. For my ARP request, I should receive ARP response. But in my case, I don't see a ARP response back. So my ICMP is not going to work here. The first step is ARP. Since ARP is failing, I am not seeing anything for ICMP. No IP communication here. And if you look at this, this is broadcasting. This is layer 2, right? The whole objective, if you open the ARP header, the whole objective is you have to look for your source IP address, source MAC address, and destination MAC address. Since I don't know, it is doing that's the whole purpose of ARP. So it is doing a broadcast, layer 2 broadcast, but I didn't get any response back. So this host is not active. You have to check, because if I give an ARP over here, so what is the IP address? It's 900022. If I do a ping 900022, nobody is responding back. So 4 consecutive packets, I don't see nothing. And if I give show IP ARP now, ARP says incomplete here, right? Because there is no such host. So ARP is the key for my ICMP. If there is a routing and if there is an IP communication, only then I can reach the particular destination. So ARP is failing here. So you can conclude, is it the device is connected? Yeah, if that particular device has a proper gateway, but if it is in the same network, necessarily no gateway needed here, because this is in the same broadcast domain. But here, there is this particular PC is not active. I don't see the ARP reply back. So that's first step. So what happens here, the traffic is going through the switch. So from here, I'm trying to, reach 900022. So the traffic is going through the switch, yeah, and it is broadcasting out to all the connected ports except the incoming port. That is a rule of broadcast. But nobody is responding back. What is it? For ARP request from this PC, nobody is responding. And this particular switch is trying to understand the MAC address, right? The whole purpose of switch is to learn the MAC address to move the frames. But here in my case, there is no such device. But how do I find that? If I go and check my capture for my ARP request, there is no ARP reply back. So that proves that this device is not connected, or this device doesn't have this IP address. There is no computer on this particular network with this IP address. You can conclude with ARP. Okay, now. So let's do a scenario. Let me block ICMP traffic in the gateway, because if it is in the same subnet, okay. So let me do one thing. To test this ICMP, we have to do IP communication between different networks, because if I do that in the same subnet, it's not going to the gateway. Yeah. So if I block an ICMP over here, so here is the traffic flow, right? So when I do an ARP request, for that particular destination MAC, I should get an ARP response back, right? But in this case, if I try to block an ICMP messages here, ARP, for the ARP request, the routing should happen. If the routing is working, I'm going to block an ICMP. But the whole point is, if I try to ping between the computers, it's a host-to-host connection, right? So if I try to ping between these two computers, both are in same LAN, same broadcast domain. So if I block an ICMP over here, if I try to ping, it uses an ICMP protocol. And if I block anything related to ICMP over here, there is no use, right? Because the traffic is going bidirectional between these two computers, and it is not traversing through the R1. It is not transiting to R1 to reach this computer, PC1, and this is PC2. So what I am going to do, I am going to block an ICMP over here. Exactly here. And let's see what are all the error codes. So let's quickly jump into the devices to do that. So I mark this an L3 switch, show IP interface brief, show runs, section IP route. So if I want to reach to this VPC, all 255, and my next hop would be this device right here, right over here, Ethernet 0/0. You show IP route. So I can reach 90.0.0.3 and I want to go over here. Let me ping 90.0.0.3 and let's see here. And what is the error code I see here? If host is unreachable, right? Show IP interface brief, and this port is Ethernet 0/0. The traffic is trying to go out here to reach this PC. Let me stop the capture. Let me stop the capture and open the capture here on switch, layer 3 switch. I see traffic going through. Okay. So in the CLI, if you see this all use, that is destination and reachable. So let me see what is Wireshark messages for it. So this is type code 8, right? Let me stop this capture. Let me open up my ICMP codes. So what is the error code I see here? It's type code 8. So destination host unreachable is the exact error code for code 8, right? So now let's troubleshoot this. Let's try to establish a reachability. Let me go and check the routing table here. Go R1. So this is the gateway for 90 network. Show IP route. And over here, I don't see a traffic. I don't see a network here, right? To reach 10.0.0.1.253. I don't see a route here. So show IP interface brief. And if I give show IP ARP, 10.0.0.10.0.2.1, right here. This interface. I want to go here. So I want 10.0.0.2.2. So I'm going to do a route here. If I want to reach this particular network, my next hop is router 2. All 255, only the specific host. So all 255, the meaning of all 255, the subnet mask is that I want to reach only this particular IP address, 10.0.1.253. And my next hop would be 10.0.2.1. If I do a show IP route, so for this IP address, this is the gateway. So if I try to ping this, I can ping. And if I go to the VPC and let me try to ping this guy. So I see a timeout here. Let's go back, close this connection. Let me start a capture on this VPC. If I stop a capture and let me see this, so I don't see a response. No response for my ICMP. One minute, guys. Sorry for that. Let me turn off my phone. So IP access list. So IP interface brief. So if I try to ping 10.0.1.253, from here I can ping. So this ACL is not working, but if I see the output here, I don't see an ICMP response back. When I try to ping from 90.0.0.3 and 10.0.1.253. So what I'm going to do next, let me do a trace route. Tracer 10.0.1.253. So after 90.0.0.1, my packet is dying. Let me go here. Let me check. Show IP ARP. I'm coming from 90.0.0.3. This is 90.0.0.3. And if I give show IP route, so I have a reachability for 10.0.1.253. Whereas from the gateway, I can ping. So let me try with gateway. Ping 10.0.1.253. Source is 90.0.0.1. So this is using my external interface here to reach. So here from this gateway, it is using my external connection. How do I verify that? Let me jump back. So if I ping 10.0.1.253 from source 10.0.2.2, I can ping. Whereas from 90, I cannot. So from here, if I do a trace route to 10.0.1.253, let me stop this capture and open the capture and let's see the logs, what I can see from this router. So Ethernet 0/1 is my egress interface. So I'm trying to reach 10.0.1.253. Since it is using my egress interface, it is going. So if I do a trace route with source 90.0.0.1, so it's coming from 90.0.0.1. And it couldn't find. So what is the ICMP message I can see over here? This is type code 3, right? So the port unreachable, you can see that. It's not responding to the port. Type code 3. So this is how you can troubleshoot and you can see the difference. So now this port is unreachable. So obviously I don't have a route for this. Even though I have a route, I cannot reach. And how do we fix it? Let me go to R2, show IP route. So the traffic is coming from this VPC. If I give show IP, that is 90.0.0.3. If you look at my routing table here, I don't see any specific traffic for that. So I made only one static route for 90.0.0.11. So, but the traffic is coming from 90.0.0.3. So IP. So let me change the IP address here. Let me make this as 90.0.0.11. /8, and my gateway would be 90.0.0.1. Can I ping my gateway 90.0.0.1? I can ping my gateway, and from the router, let me try to ping 90.0.0.11. Yes, I can ping 90.0.0.11 from R2. If I go to switch 3, if I ping 90.0.0.11, I cannot. So what is the first thing we have to do? We have to check the route because it's trying to do a ARP first, then ICMP. Show IP route 90.0.0.11. Subnet is, this particular IP address is not in the subnet. It's not in my routing table. So show run include IP route. I'm going to do a route for P route 90.0.0.11, all 255, and my next hop is my R2. I can ping 90.0.0.11 now. So we all know, right? If for the successful ICMP connection, let me stop all this captures. If I give show IP, this is 90.0.0.1. So this is VPC2 over here. If I right click capture Ethernet 0, if I go to this VPC, so the traffic is coming from this guy. Let me go to VPC2. I can ping, right? So what is the error code if I see a successful connection? Stop this. Let me see the ICMP packet. It's error code 8. So if your destination is successful, you should see a type code 8. This is how you have to differentiate your ICMP error codes. So now let's try to block the ICMP specific messages and let's see what happens. So if I go to show IP access list, so I'm going to deny everything. Config, no IP access list, ICMP. So I'm going to remove this access list. IP access list extended, and I'm going to remove this extended ACL. Show IP interface brief. Show run interface Ethernet 0/0. Config interface Ethernet 0/0. If I give no IP access group, I'm going to remove this. Let me create a new access list, IP access list extended, ICMP test 10 deny ICMP, the protocol followed by any source, any destination. I'm blocking it. Let's see with this, what is the output we get? I denied everything. It should be an implicit deny. Let's see the output. Quit. Let's open the so I applied an ACL, but I didn't apply the access group, the particular interface, right? So interface Ethernet 0/0. Let me quickly do this to show IP interface brief. It's my egress interface. interface Ethernet 0/0 IP access group. I have to give the same name. ICMP test inbound. So the traffic coming from here coming all the way back to this switch and to this egress interface here. I've applied an ACL. Inbound. So the meaning of inbound is whatever the traffic coming from outside to inside. This is inbound. So let me check this. Show IP access list. Let me try from this computer. Let me open the capture on the switch, Ethernet 0/0. Let me generate a traffic again. So when you're troubleshooting and if you're trying to do a ping to a destination, and in your capture, if you see something like this, communication is administratively filtered, right? That is something they're blocking this traffic. So type 3, destination unreachable, because the communication is administratively filtered. Checksum is good. Nobody tampered the traffic, but ICMP code 13 is something blocking the ICMP messages. So always remember, if there is an ACL, if there is a block, it can be in the host level so if you block your ICMP completely, the ICMP messages, you should see the code 13 with communication administratively filtered. Let me go to the switch. If I give show logging, let me do a debug. ICMP can I do that? I debug IP ICMP, and let me go back again. Let me do this. So this is administratively prohibited, unreachable. sent to 90.0.0.3. But I don't see anything like an error code here. But the biggest advantage is if you're working for a customer, if he's blocking ACL, you cannot run here the debug on the device, right? The only option you have is you can take a capture from here. But with Wireshark, the biggest advantage is if I do this a ping, because the ACL is blocked over there, from this host computer, especially from a server, we have a connection with the command prompt, you cannot see anything, right? Because this is the gateway. Debug IP ICMP. And if I try to do that from here, I see nothing because this is my layer 3. This is the gateway for this device, right? I don't see anything from my ICMP packet. Since this is my device, the source traffic is coming from this device. But with this logs, this is exactly I taken from that, right? If you buy a log from there, and let's stop this capture. Let me run a capture from here. So I am generating this traffic from VPC over here. Right click, capture Ethernet 0/0. Open the capture. So you see no response found, right? It's not responding for my ICMP. So you can ask them, is it you are blocking something with ACL, or can you take a capture and send it to me for additional troubleshootings, right? So always you should do bidirectional, but since it's very evident that it's telling that no response found, it's not responding because we are blocking the complete ICMP. From the source, you see this. So what is the error code here? It's code 0, it's type 8. So it means that I don't see a response coming back, but I have a route. I send a ping request, but I don't see the ping response coming back. So now, let me go back to the switch, show IP access list. See, I can see 30 matches that matches the ICMP traffic over here. IP access list extended ICMP test 20 permit IP any. So how the access list actually works, show IP access list. So it just gives the priority for the first rule and then comes over here. Let me go to the VPC, same message. I give show IP access list. Since this is denied, even though if I permit the IP traffic, still I don't see a response back. And now let's go back. Let's talk about IP options. Let me quickly open the IP header. Make it a little bigger. So in the IP header, this is not widely used, or I would say this is not very popular, but we should know, what is IP options. So using the IP options, they can do a source-based routing. Example, let me open up whiteboard. Take. So example, the use case for source routing. So this is your router interconnected like this, just very a simple design. So you got two routers, one over here, and this is R1, this is, you can name R2, this is your R3, and this is your R4. What happens here, if it is a source-based routing, again, this is not widely used, but you guys should know this. So if somebody is using a source-based routing, in the IP option, it is defined. So the most popular, I would say that's widely used is LSRR and SSRR. LSRR stands for loose routing. So it means that if I mark with LSRR, even though my source traffic is coming from here, again, guys, this is not widely popularly used, but you should know, you should be a little bit aware of how IP option works. Yeah, if I use LSRR, inside the IP option, LSRR routing is enabled. And being a network engineer, your boss is telling that you cannot allow the LSRR. You have to block this traffic. So what is LSRR? So it means that if somebody is trying to influence the route, if they mark with LSRR, it can go either to R3 or R4. That's the whole ideology. But if they are doing SSRR, source-based routing, you can call this as a source routing. If they do that, if your packet coming from this router to R2, and if it has to go to R4, it should go through R4 and never ever to R3. They're influencing route like this. But being the network administrator or network engineer, it's your responsibility to discard those options. That is called hardening your router, right? So how do I do that? Let's jump back to a scenario like this. So let's think this is an ISP, and your security team is telling that we have a vulnerability and you have to stop source routing. So what you should do in the IP header, that is called an IP option, and it hits this interface, right? Example, this is your Ethernet 0/1 over here. So you're going to write an ACL to block the source routing. So this is ideology. So my source route coming over here and it's coming to my router 3, and I'm going to block it. Going to discard this packets. What happened? They cannot use source-based routing. So let me jump back to the lab. Let me remove this ACL. Okay, we'll try one more thing with ICMP. I forgot that. So let's block only the TTL, time to live exceeded. I'm going to discard only the time to live exceeded message, not everything. This is blocking everything, right? So I am very specific now. So let me block a packet specific to ICMP time to live. Let me bring this little down over here. Okay. Now to show IP access list, ICMP test, IP access list extended, ICMP test, no 10 deny ICMP any. I'm going to remove this rule and no permit IP any. So now I'm going to do 10 deny ICMP any host, any destination. I'm going to block let's first try a trace route from here. Let me try to ping now. Let me try to ping this guy. Okay. So from here, so it's coming from my VPC over here. For that, let me close this captures. Let me do a trace to 10.0.1.253. So I'm coming from VPC2. Let me go back. This is VPC2. For you guys, okay. Let me quickly mark this. Insert a text, size 14, VPC2, save. Okay, this is VPC2 to avoid confusion. So if you see, for every hop, we see this time to leave exceeded, right? Let me go to the switch. So I'm going to block this time to leave exceeded message for everything. Let me jump back again to VPC2 and let me do a trace route. So my capture should be still running here, or it's stopped. Let me start the capture again. Ethernet 0, open. So it is telling that ICMP type 3, but generally this is a VPC. This is a, this device is a simulator. So I think we can see this, but in the normal command prompt, I have to check. So if I stop my capture, if you open this ICMP code, you can see the code 13. So the code 13 says that the communication administratively filtered. But you can see the trace route is completed. So I have a route. Everything is working, but this is blocked with an ACL. You see this prompt. So whenever you see something like this, then you have to, double check, is there any ACL is blocking your ICMP. The code 13, communication administratively filtered here. Destination unreachable. So you can play around with multiple options. If you go and check, you can play around with your ICMP codes. Say, for example, if I do this, I can block the host not reachable, port unreachable. Lot of options. So now to show IP access list. So let me say no IP deny ICMP time to live exceeded. If I do IP ICMP any to trace route, and I can see, okay, it reached. So I have to increase the buffer in Wireshark. We have to rerun again and again, right? Open a capture again. To open the Wireshark capture Ethernet 0/0 from VPC2. Show IP access list. Show IP access list. Communication is blocked message. Config IP access list. Extended ICMP test. No 10 deny ICMP any. 10 deny ICMP any. Let me try to block the echo reply back. Again, let me go and do a trace route. For any sort of ICMP blocks, so it's telling that communication administratively filtered. Show IP access list. So you can play around with your ICMP codes. So communication administratively down is something, there is a block. Yeah, that is a takeaway of this topic. So let's do an IP options now. Loose routing and source routing. Due to the limitations, let me check for an option here. So IP access list, let me completely take away this access list. No, IP access list ICMP test. Show IP interface brief. Show run interface Ethernet 0/0. ICMP test in. Config, go to interface. No IP access group. Show IP access list. Show run interface Ethernet 0/0 to see my access group is in. No. So let me go to IP access list. Extended. Let me give a name. IP option. Deny IP any option. So let me do LSR, loose routing. That's something from the my hop. It can either go to R1 or R2 in that case we saw, right? I mean, we saw the two path for a router coming in, the traffic coming in, and it splits to R2 and R3. We discussed in the diagram. So to do that, let me go to this guy. Show IP interface brief 10.0.1.253. Let me check a basic ping from this box. I can ping. So the command you should use is you have to just give a ping and you have to give an IP, and the target IP would be this guy. And I'm not bothered about repute count, all default. Extended command, yes, I'm going to do an extended command. Not doing ingress ping, not doing a source IP, not doing DHCP, differentiated services, no QoS. Type of service, no DF bit, no validation, no pattern. So are you doing a loose routing? Yeah. Source route. No, no. So for 10.0.1.253, if I go here, show IP access list, nothing matching because I haven't applied an ACL here. Show run interface 0/0, I haven't applied this. So if I do a loose routing from here, it is allowed, right? So let me open the capture to show you exactly how it looks. Goes this guy. I'm doing from this router, capture Ethernet 0/1. Open. I go here. Let me do a ping. IP. Target IP address would be this guy. Not bothered about this. All default values. Yes, I'm going to use an extended command. And the source address. Oh, sorry. I'm not using any source interface traffic. No DHCP, type of service 0, no validation, no data pattern. So if I'm going to do a loose routing, source route for 10.0.1.253. Let me choose the loose route. So what is the traffic I can see here? So let me open the prompt. From source to this is destination. Exactly, I should see this. If I open up my pen, where's my pen? Let me stop this. Exactly right over here, right? My IP option says I'm using loose source route. So let me drill up. So type 12, code 0, pointer indicates the error. If I go back to my ACL, show IP interface brief, show run interface Ethernet 0/0, 10.0.1.253. And I haven't applied any ACL over here. So loose routing is allowed. So under the IP options, you can see this here, right? And it says parameter problem. And the key things you have to grab from this output is your ICMP option code. If somebody is using an option-based routing, like this, and you should see the error code here, type 12. And you can see exactly what kind of routing they're doing, right? They are doing, let me open up my pen. Loose source route and the parameter problem. Pointer indicates an error. Wireshark shows that. So if I go and apply this ACL, let me see what happens here. So let me go to the interface. Go to interface Ethernet 0/0 IP access group, IP option, traffic coming in, ingress to the switch. Let me try to do it again. It's better to do this. Ping IP. My target IP would be 10.0.153. Datagram all default. Yes, I'm going to use an extended source address. I'm not using source address. I'm not using DHCP. No type of service. No. All default. So let me use a loose routing. So set my capture stopped. I should increase the buffer for sure. So I should see a traffic over here, capture Ethernet 0/1. We should always do a bidirectional capture. Such scenarios, let's see, we see an output over here. ICMP request response should happen. We send an echo request, should get an echo reply back. Let me quickly do this ping. I do ping IP. Target IP would be this guy 10.0.0.1.253. IP all default. Yes, extended ping. No. Yes, I'm using loose routing. Source routing for 10.0.1.253. So what it is, I got an error code. Only one source route option is allowed. So I'm using this, right? Let me stop this capture now. So it says a parameter problem. So now if you see, I don't see that loose routing. And let me quickly check this. Show IP access list. Debug the access list. So it says that from 10.0.1.253. So if you look at this output, it indicates a problem, right? Parameter problem here. And if you see over here, it's padding. Show IP access list. Show run interface. Show IP interface brief. Show run interface. Show IP access list. Config. The access list. Extended. 20. Deny IP any show logging destination 10.0.1.253. Let's try to generate a traffic back again. Ping IP. Target IP would be 10.0.253. All default. Yes. No. This one, because I've marked LSSR to give a source route for 10.0.253. That's 0/1. 10.1.0.253. Extended command, yes. Source IP would be 90.0.0.1. Lose traffic. Source route. So I see the error code 13. And I don't see the option marked here now. Let me go back to the switch, show logging, show clock, 1831. Okay, show IP interface brief, config interface, do show run interface, Ethernet 0/0, interface Ethernet 0/0, no IP access group. To apply this, close this, capture, open this, capture, Ethernet 0/. Let me do this time here. Capture Ethernet 0/0, open, this guy, ping IP, target IP, this guy, all default, extended command yes. Not doing a source traffic here. Loose routing. Source route is for 10.0.1.253. Okay, I saw that here. Stop the capture on the ICMP message. You see the option now, it is allowed. Type 131 if you look at here, because I've removed the ACL. So that's how the LSSR works. Due to the limitations, we cannot run the source routing SSSR. So this is how you can capture the packet. If your loose routing is allowed, you can, verify the same thing with capture. So after applying the ACL, it should be administratively blocked and you cannot mark your IP options. We saw that, right? So we don't see this IP option when we have enabled the ACL. Okay, that's it for this topic. Now let me stop the recording. Okay, let me finish one more thing. Let me tell you how to set up this lab. So if I go over here, let me share this link to you guys for everyone. If you type with this keyword, Guys, let me share this link on the WhatsApp. So let me share one more document for you to step by step how to do this. Be this one. IOL to EVNG. EVNG. If you guys go to this website, they have given the step-by-step instruction to do that. You guys have to basically run this script, this Python script, because you should have your IOL license to run the device. If you're not applying the license, it will not work. So you can follow the script, what they are given over here. After successfully you're running this script, you will get a license file like this. They've given the step by step. I followed this. And sometimes I'm telling you, you cannot run this command. So once you get a license, something like this, you rename, you open a notepad and you just type in the license, whatever you got here, right? Your value is unique. When you run the script, you will get a license file generated right over here. So it will display that this is your license like this output, and open a notepad and just copy this same thing like this license ev-ng equals your license number, what you get after you run this particular script. I will share the image, but the license you guys have to create like this, because that's something you have to run the script inside the evng. Let me open up the evng and I'll show you that. Let me quickly close this. How do I minimize this? My EVNG. So for all the CLI, it is root is the username. EVE is your password. So you have to run your Python script over here. So they have given you a step-by-step instruction. You guys can follow it. And now any of you guys are ready for to volunteer your computer to just to show how we do that? Let me give an access permission.